Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. I'm your host Johnny, delighted to be here. Hope you're having amazing weeks. Let me know what you're up to. What we'll be doing today is re-implementing TailwindUI's latest template, a SaaS marketing template they've called Radiant. Looks good. I'll be talking about it more right after I prove that I can do some code, even though our starting point won't be that impressive. So we'll be diving deeper into this. They've implemented with React, with NextJS specifically. They've done lots of cool stuff. There's links in the description. We'll be talking about Tailwind UI in general, Tailwind and Tailwind Labs, the team that I love quite a lot, but feel free to go and click around and find all the little hidden features. They've added the little animations. We'll be trying to recreate them. And we'll start with the hero section, this thing with the gradient, and we'll have opinions. If you notice on the corner, they have like a little gap with a bit of white padding before we get to the nice gradient. But then the gradient has the lovely rounded corners that are so delightful to look at. So I get where they're coming from. We'll be having quite a lot of discussions there. Of course, this is responsive. We'll have opinions about that too. And we'll do our best to recreate in Svelte and SvelteKit, not just to have it in Svelte and SvelteKit, but to learn stuff while we're at it. So this is the starting point that I've had today. We'll be talking about this more. I even tried to recreate like this little animation, but I'm having a bit of trouble with the origin of the animation, but I think accidentally it looks cool. Anyway, we'll be talking about that even further now. And I also couldn't resist also doing light and dark mode. We'll talk about why maybe they didn't decide to do dark mode for this, but I can't help myself. I love dark mode. But because the design is on light mode, we'll be burning our retinas by seeing this. So I do have TailwindUI, I do have this template, this NextJS template as well, but I'll be trying to limit myself from referring to what exactly is happening there in the CSS. And also we're doing SvelteKit, so in theory if we just got the source code and copy paste the HTML, because Svelte, the templates in Svelte do look like HTML, this would just work, just copy paste this, done, stream done. But we'll try to do it in a way where we actually understand what's happening, not blindly copy paste things. We don't even need to switch like class for class name because it's Svelte. Anyway, let's get to it. Hope this is a fun subject for you. I think it's going to be fun for me. I always love our CSS rabbit holes, but maybe they're not that interesting to look at all the time. However, today there is this angle that there is a design that I'm working against. I do know what I'll be trying to implement. I won't be trying to make it on the fly. So this hero template, it feels like this is the stack grid type of solution. Well, it's definitely elements stacked on top of each other because they have this gradient, which I think is a separate gradient. But I don't think they're doing CSS grid to solve this. But CSS grid is like the darling of the month. So that's how I'll be trying to implement this. So it's a huge CSS grid. And on top of it is, I guess, this one hero section, the callout section. And the buttons stack at some breakpoint. But that's pretty much it. And the header is also in the hero section, while in other pages, it's not. And interestingly enough, the login page has nothing but the login page. Yes, it has like this little gradient here, but we'll discuss this more later. For now, let's just do this part. So the close every deal part will need immediately, like I'll need the gradient here. I will do it with CSS Grid, even though I don't think that's how they do it. Check out smallcss.dev. Lots of good stuff here, including stack layouts. And the famous one where you set display grid and then you put grid template areas, and you can name them anything. It's just the matter that you have just the one grid area, and then you'll be placing every other item in that named area. So stack is not a magic keyword there. You can name this not stacked. You can name this whatever, but stack makes sense. Why not do it like that? Right, so we are in this root page. I also have the Svelte inspector, which is essential for this. So I could have just command clicked and gotten this in the design hero component section. So this one, let's immediately create a different component for this. Let's call it hero.svelte. And let's put it in a section and say, let's have a great stream. Let's say what we're actually going to implement and where we're at it. Close every deal. 3 words, but not ... So interesting. And they're using the display font. Interesting. Balance text with settings applied anyway. A couple stuff about the size of the text and the tracking according to how big we want to get. I will immediately cheat and look what type of component do they have there. Are they using like any component? No, it's just an H1 with these attributes. But display, have they set the display font anywhere? Don't think so. Ah, their sans font is Switzer. Yes. Maybe not. Maybe that does nothing. I don't think they've set up display font. I think they've made a mistake here. Yeah, this does nothing. If we look at the Tailwind config, we'll do fonts later. Their Tailwind config, maybe I should show that, is even more barren. They just have the sans font family, so not display font family here. They made that up, and an even wider border radius. Mine is a bit more complicated. And I'll be talking more about it. But essentially, it's the SAD-CN defaults. Everyone's doing SAD-CN nowadays with Tailwind. So I figured I should apply those. But not display font. So there you go, like free tip. You don't need these extra like 12 characters on your HTML. Your page will be faster. Good. So we want the H1 here. And we want it to be close every deal. And we actually want to use our component hero. We need a hero in just one word, in just one song. We need a hero. And yeah, I won't try to eyeball it. I will just copy the Tailwind classes here. Setting the font size and the amount of leading line height that we want here, making it slightly bolder, keeping the tracking tight. And text grade, we don't need that, and we will be avoiding it because, as I said, I do want to implement for dark mode as well. Even though, you know, for marketing sites, maybe you don't want to bother with something like that. You have like the design vision. It's like the user needs to see it like this, needs the retinas burned, and all of that. That's how you sell a product. All right, so we have the text. Let's do the fun part. But I wasn't doing it because I was trying to think about the styling. So I do want one element to be the gradient and to take like the whole of the space. Should it just be the section? I guess it should just be the section. Yeah, so I guess the section itself will be the grid area. And we could copy these, put in a style tag. Let's call it styles here. Let's do lang post CSS, get some extra goodies. And target our section and everything in it. And I think I've enabled I have enabled nested styles, but it doesn't quite get no, it don't get it. I don't get it. I think this would work. So display grid, grid template areas stack on top of each other. We don't need this background color. We could put, but we don't particularly want it, just to prove that this works. And that's it. And what we want to put behind here is something that's gonna have like the gradient. Right? So that's my goal. But the gradient that they're using, I think they must be doing it in the same way. So they have a linear gradient here. They're doing absolute positioning, which we won't be doing. Relative position for this. So yeah, we'll be doing CSS grid to solve for this, but I think this is the gradient that we can just copy and paste outside of that. We don't want absolute position, we don't need it. Inset, maybe. We will, maybe not, we'll see. Rounded corners, yes. Ring, sure. Inset ring. A black ring around it, sure, thick one. And then the background will be the linear gradient, reusing the CSS variable that they've set. And the colors are gonna be these arbitrary colors, I suppose, with some arbitrary stops. Arbitrary as in they're not like standard values in the Tailwind palette or anything like that. Like some designer deliberately put them there, is what I'm trying to say. So here we go, we have something. We have something. Did I add this PD red? I guess so. So we don't need this fallback. And what else? So how big this is not defined by anything. I was expecting this to have like a viewport height, something like that. But I guess the fact that this has like a lot of padding is what makes it so big. Ah, yeah, of course, and even the header is inside this. So inside this we have the header. This is the header. And this div has some extra padding, so it's all calculated dynamically. Nothing has a set height or is dependent on viewport height or anything like that. The header we will be doing later, I guess, but I did have a rudimentary header here, which I guess we could just put in. Maybe we should call it navbar. Yeah, let's call it navbar. This one, let's put it in components. lib components. Navbar, svelte. And let's take all of the header stuff here. Let's get everything because a lot of the imports are gonna be used. Not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. And instead of using the header here, plonk, plonk, plonk. Let's use it in our hero element, which I guess does mean that they could be in different sections actually. We'll think about it. Yeah, so let's make this a div and give it like a scope class of a container and have this target a container class, not to be confused with Tailwind's container class. Should I call it something else? Maybe, but I would not. And maybe I should, because it's also applying Tailwind stuff. So yeah, anything but container. Anything but container. Anything like when you can think of anything, my brain doesn't function. Does it happen to you? Chat, help me. Let's call it hero. Cool. So this is gonna be the gradient background stuff, sure. Which we could extract to a different component actually. We'll see if we'll need to use it. And here we want to use our navbar, I suppose. Remember to do this as lang TypeScript. All right, and now it looks like we have a bit more to work with. We're getting the niceties here. And then this could be our section, I suppose. Have an H1 here, and the heading is close every deal. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. That's how they want to play it. We will play it like that. So in a navbar, this is not an H1, just a div. And in our tests, we have tests here, believe it or not. In the main page, it's close every deal, amazingly enough. And do we have any other smoke tests? No, not for that. All right, do they still work? Didn't break anything yet. We can't find the banner because it's inside the main component. Anyway, we'll fix that. We'll fix that. Fix that later. So header components, HTML components, automatically get the banner role, but not if they are inside a main tag like this. So I guess if we just make this a div, then they will automatically get the correct role. And then it will just work. So when I said we will fix this, I meant now, immediately. So we have the header, and it has some padding, but we'll be designing the header later. So this, not section, and the main, they have the main be the rest of the page. Interesting. Semantically interesting. So I will call this section. And they want me to have some set padding here. Good. So the heading now, I think it's supposed to stay at the top. So we can place it later, I suppose. But we'll see. We'll see how it's gonna look in the end. Ah, this has some padding top, I guess. Margin top. Yeah, this has some padding top. Actually, that's how it makes it so far up. Does it have it on the other pages? That's out of curiosity. It looks like they do. So maybe we can just put it in and move on with our lives. They say, like back in the day, you would apply the margins and paddings in just one direction, like up or down, right or left. And I was always like put margin bottom, choose the bottom direction. But I guess they prefer top. That is fair enough. Doesn't really matter. What happens on even on mobile? It looks like this. I see. So we don't have the roundedness. Let's do the roundedness here. Ah, it's because rounded Excel is not a thing. In our case, we haven't specified rounded for Excel, which I think for them is like, it's like what? I think I have the same for the button. Rounded MD I have here. Let me double check. So the portrait radius that we end up with is 32 pixels. And I think that's 2rem for us, so that's what we want. Which I think is MD in our case. All right, so that's 2rem. For us, looks fine. We don't do full, it still works. Yeah. And it's the linear gradient. Good. And do we apply text balance anywhere? No. In my CSS reset, I think I apply balance to every heading, so that should be fine. Cool. Looks just the same, but they all have like a bit of padding, which they achieve with the inset 2 in this case. So just the gradient has a bit of padding. Interesting. Like I would think that this has a bit of padding, but I guess this doesn't have the corners. So let's insert 2 on this. The real thing. MX2 would work, but that's not exactly what we want, I suppose. This has some padding too. Oh well. So this is the ring situation. I don't think we're getting exactly the same ring, but I guess that's fine. And let's do P2 to get the same effect. Margin 2, sorry, to get the same effect as inset. And though inset 2 should be working. Oh well. Oh, is it just 2 pixels? No. It should be 8 pixels. But then, why wouldn't we want like this to have a padding of 2? Again, could be a thing with the corners. Well, let's not get too attached to things. Move on. So this is the gradient. This is a huge container that they have for some reason. Could be this. Then they have this thing. So this container that has our header in our content looks better. Then our header has this class, and then this section has all of these parameters. And we're starting to get somewhere. We have our H1, which has all of these classes besides the useless font display and text balance, because every H1 I've balanced in my CSS reset. Then we have a p tag, which I can just copy wholesale and paste because it's Svelte. But we see the overflow here. There's an, I guess it's because we've put like the margin here instead of putting it here as padding. So that should be fine. But again, they must be doing something, because it doesn't get like super snug on mobile viewports, does it? So we must be missing a tick here. Anyway, then we have our action row, call to actions. And that's it. So how does this get margin right and left? Ah, there is yet another thing. MX Auto to put stuff in the center? Can only imagine. So yeah, we don't have this container. Do containers keep appearing, or is it just me? It's probably just me. So the MX Auto container, this one, is what we have. Then we have the header, then we have the action, but they also have this thing. Which I guess we could skip. No, we couldn't. So let's add it here. All right, so this may be slightly too snug because we've also added like the P2 here. So maybe this would be P4 and P6. All right, so I think we got it. I think we've managed to copy paste our way to victory here. Cute. All right, and since we have this background, this should look the same even on dark mode, I suppose. But we'll figure out how we can do this. Do we have like a text muted? Muted foreground. Can't see anything. Ooh. Doesn't look great. Is it the same color? I think it's not. But hey. Let's keep things simple. I don't know where else would be. I guess we're using the muted text here, so maybe it'd be helpful for that. And yeah, if we nest this into data theme light, does this stick? No, something to fix later, I suppose. Force this. We want to force this to always be on light mode, let's say. Including the header. Yeah, I think it will work. I think we'll make it work at some point. Call to actions. Get started and see pricing. So interesting. We do have a CN button. Cool way. Get started. So it looks the same. I'll have another look on how they've made their button. Especially this glass button looks nice. Something this doesn't do, that I love doing, is having a bouncy button, so it does move when you click it. I think it's more satisfying. And let's say that gets you in like your profile page. If you're not logged in. I am logged in. So I actually make it there. But cool. If you weren't logged in, then you'd get to the login page. Sign out, get started, log in. Great. You either go there or you go to pricing, I guess. Nice. Yeah. So we don't have this page, but we'll make it. variant is gonna be, what are the possible variants that we have? Secondary and outline. And they look the same. No, almost the same. Right, so do they use this button anywhere else, like this glass button? Not really. Like, it looks so nice that I'd be like, where else can I use it? Where else can I use this? But in general, they don't use many buttons. Like, this is like the outline button, surely. This. But here they have like a special button. Let's look at this button first. Well, let's look at both buttons. Let's look at what they're doing. NextJS, they have primary, secondary, outline. All right, so see pricing has to be the outline button, surely. A secondary, surely, he says with confidence. And they only have like 3 trillion classes. That's fine. Let's look at what do we have with our crazy buttons from Satyan. So we have some base classes on all of them, and then we have like some variants for their style and their size, and I think most of them kind of suck, not ways about it. Main thing I don't like is how small the Satyan buttons are by default. But main thing I like about Satyan is you don't like something, you get in there, you change it, and then you're happy. Yeah, small input fields, small buttons. Why are you doing this? You're on mobile. People are like, why am I zooming into this input field? What are you doing? And it's because I think someone has decided that smaller buttons look more professional. Smaller inputs, they're like, you look slick. But big buttons, man. You gotta go bigger. So yeah, there are like a few sizing options here, and by default they're pretty much the same, so not much point. Anyway, secondary button and their secondary button. This looks crazy. Like when people tell me they don't like Tailwind, I always troll them because I think like what a thing you can't be upset about. But they do show me this, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, I see. So some of them are indeed shared. So do we just call it glass and move on with our lives? Do I use secondary buttons anywhere else? The answer is no. So might as well. Might as well. Might as well copy all of them. Right, so what are we doing here? They're saying that they want to be relative, which I don't believe. Inline flex, we already have. Item center, I guess we have. And justify center, we have all of these. Great. Great, great. And then they have some padding, which I think we set like here. Oh, and PY, it's calculated by spacing. PY is calculated by spacing. I wanna try that. So we'll see what happens. So if I do this, what's gonna happen? This line goes, let's remove these lines for now and see. Right, didn't affect our default button. So it should be just about the same, but there must be a reason why they prefer to have it like this. Good. Then the roundedness we've also achieved. Now the border, the background it needs to be white. And there is a shadow, there is a ring. Yeah, I'll just keep these and put them in here. What can I do? They have like PG secondary and secondary foreground for the text. So maybe that's the thing that I should be using. But we'll keep that in mind. And after, I wonder if that achieves like this glow thingy. After they put something that has like a shadow, sure. White space, no wrap, who cares? Like re-establishing the font size, don't like the font medium, it should be somewhere else. And then it's the color of the text again. So that could be where we mess around with the secondary colors or something. And then, so white space, no wrap. Do I have it anywhere? No. It feels like a general style. So let's trust that. Ah, we do have it. Sure. Yes, sir. Anything else we have? No. Sure. And then when they are disabled, we have like some disabled and hover styles. Sure. Have a color change for when you hover. Sure. So any other hover styles? Yeah, quite a lot. Any other disable styles? Quite a few. Just set the opacity, I guess. And on hover, anything common? No. And it's data disabled. Ugh. So this one I won't do, but yeah, if they're saying 40%, let's do 40. Maybe they know something. All right, so now we have the beautiful glass button. I think it looks nice. So we'll see about like dark mode, I guess, but we won't use it again, so it doesn't really matter. But I guess in SATSN we must be using secondary like all the time. Maybe not. So it's these things that we should be playing around with. So instead of like PG white or whatever it is, how would you calculate this? But you can. You can. But yeah, how have we done so far? The headers are different, but I think we're good. And of course, the fonts are very similar, but not the same. They're using a special font that we'll be talking about soon because it's important. But yeah, I think with this, we can call the section designed. Like we'll be doing the fonts, we'll be doing the header properly. But I think the hero part, I think that's done. Cool. Commit immediately. It's a feature. And Sibum, so you can click around already if you would like. Cool. So I think it's time to talk a bit more in general about Radiant, and then we'll move on to font hosting, optimizing fonts, and that sort of situation. Tailwind, I love it. One of my first videos, literally my second contributing video in my older channel, was Tailwind with SvelteKit. First video was VS Code setup with Svelte. So first one Svelte, second one Tailwind with Svelte. So I love Tailwind. And especially I love trolling people that hate Tailwind, as if they've never used classes before. But that aside, I like the team. I think the Tailwind team are doing some great things. They've managed to keep themselves relatively small, but the impact that they have is insane. It feels like everyone in the world is using Tailwind or has an opinion about the Tailwind. Maybe that's what I should say. Everyone in the world has an opinion about the framework or the library that you've created. That means you've made it. That means you've made something important. And lots of people use Tailwind and love it. Lots and lots of people use Tailwind as a way to learn CSS even, and especially if you have like integrations such as this, which you highlight the Tailwind class and it gives you what it actually applies as a style. I think that's a great tool for learning, and most of the time you will find that what Tailwind is doing is just one line of CSS, one style, but there are so many gotchas where you actually need to apply like 2 attributes to do one thing. But if you want cross-browser support or whatever, you need to do 2 things. And that's where Tailwind is super handy. They know those things, so you don't have to, but if you highlight, then you find out that, oh, to clear this, then I need to do something else. And also, you can see how it works with the responsive widths as well. So if people are saying that the Tailwind is making us forget how to style our CSS, I tell them it can actually teach you, but it depends on how you use it, I suppose. Anyway, great tool, love it, open source and free. They also have TailwindUI, which is a paid product, but still, I'm paying for it. I'm a backer, not necessarily because I've ever used any one of these templates or components, but because I want to back and support the Tailwind project itself. I think the team is doing something really cool. I think they think similarly to mine, which is very important because you have opinions, they aren't necessarily correct or wrong. There are many frameworks with different approaches, and what you need to do is find someone that has similar opinions to yours. In real life, being in an echo chamber, bad. You should expand your horizons. When you work, can be good when you're working with a CSS framework or something like that. Try to find the one that thinks like you do. So I want to support that project. And therefore, I got my TailwindUI lifetime subscription. Not that I'll ever use Catalyst or the components themselves or the templates, but they've been great for inspiration. And you actually can see the live site as we've been seeing here. So even though getting the actual React and NextJS code here, you do need to have the license, you can just go here and inspect the elements and see oh, these are the classes that they're applying here, and just copy paste them in your own button, and that's it. So TailwindUI, is it like a viable purchase? I think they do many cool things, many things that can help you get going and get started, but I wouldn't say it's valuable. It's valuable as a show of support to them that I got this subscription. I think that's important, but I wouldn't say that I'm getting something that I couldn't have gotten from all the free stuff that they have. Tailwind has amazing docs, so many things that help you learn CSS again. But Tailwind UI, again, like I see it as a more of a show of support for me personally. Anyway, the Radiant template, they had a blog post all about it, how they designed it, and I have thoughts about it. I'm not a designer. I don't particularly like the whiteness. I guess maybe they don't want the like 5 lines of JavaScript that you need to make the theme toggle work. Maybe they just want beginners to not get into toggling themes and have trouble with that. I'm not a beginner, and then I'm like, oh, why didn't this just work with dark mode? So, you know, there you go. Maybe they don't want people to be tripping themselves up over it. And sometimes you just want to fulfill a spec. Can be hard enough to find a designer who will do a responsive design that works. Then you tell them also do night mode, dark mode, and you are in even bigger, not trouble, but less likely it will happen. It seems they have like a little gradient in this section, and then it becomes like hard white here. But anyway, like many like small things, not deal breakers. Here, some of these things have cool animations with framer motion, subtle animations, but the way they say it, it's things that you can really kind of easily dress up to work with your own startup SaaS marketing idea. You can change these logos, you can change which keyboard keys are highlighted, you can change where the pins are. Cool components here. The filters don't work. These are like screenshots, but I guess that's kind of popular now. This is just an image. They didn't make a Kanban one. But yeah, it is responsive. Doesn't have dark mode, which I guess for marketing sites it does happen. Doesn't have like a lot of flair. It has like subtle flair, which is fair enough because users can get annoyed with animations. I would say users get annoyed with animations in productivity apps, and then you need to have a toggle to turn them off. But for marketing, maybe you can get away with a bit more. Recent has the Rubik's Cube after all. Yeah, it's like, okay, that cuts the UI for sure. What else? Like this carousel is nice. I don't think it's just scroll snap, but we'll have a look. It must be doing some JavaScript to like apply this effect. And that's about it. The copy is always hilarious. The copy is always insane. I was able to replace 80% of my team with Radiant AI bots, like tongue-in-cheek commentary on the current state of humanity. All the creepy stuff that some companies know nowadays. We closed the deal in Italy a few minutes because we knew their exact budget. Thanks Radiant, we're finding new leads that we never would have found with legal methods. They're always so fun. I think the template that they have for the tax startup, this one, I think this is the most hilarious one. So have a look at the Q&A and laugh because it's very, very funny. What else? So I'm not convinced with the header here. Don't know why they did the collapsible menu like this. The moment I see a hamburger menu with just 2 lines, I think, oh, they're gonna do the trick where the 2 lines become like 3 lines like this. And it's gonna be awesome. But they didn't. They just left me hanging there. I don't know why. I do have the video of how to do like the hamburger menu as well. Ah, this
Hello,
is the...
I'm Johnny, and
Wow.
you're someone.
That's a long time ago. But yeah, I think that's by the by. I think that may be enough thoughts about Radiant. TailwindUI, I think we got it at this point. Anything else? Like the starting point for this is an app that we've been building in live streams, SvelteKit app, which is using Torso with Drizzle as the database. That's why we have the login flow for free. That's why we have the theming set up. And that was my starting point for today's app, which is why the sign-in page, the sign-in flow actually works. Just spend a bit of time, and all of these things existed. But we need to make them work with the new design. So you'll see that I did make the Hamburger Menu that I had made a video of all these years ago. And it has like a slide from the right. I don't know. I don't think we'll keep it. We'll see. Let me know if you like something more. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. Cool. So links to everything. The next thing to do is self-hosting our font. A big thing that I was surprised is that they are using a font, which for performance, the best thing we can do nowadays is not use a special font. So feature exactly the custom font that you want. But I think that's very boring. I think a font can really help establish your brand. It can be super different. And you can find a font, just one weight to use for like your logo, for your headings, serif headings, something playful, something memorable. I don't think that when you have like a special font for your sans serif stuff like this, you can tell a difference. So now I'm using System UI. Like I download nothing. I don't need to have any font installed. And I won't be able to tell the difference. Like I know this is happening and I forget that I'm not using the correct font here. If you look at them side by side, then you can see that there is some change. But is the reason that someone will convert that you're using like a custom sans font? I don't think so. Someone may say, are the 50 kilobytes of this font gonna be the deal breaker that makes the user not convert? Maybe not, but why not favor performance? In any case, the other thing I wanted to say, so they are using this custom font. The designer was like, no, this font is awesome and I want to use it. And indeed, this FontShare website is awesome. They do have open source and not open source. They have free for download and use fonts that look quite nice, actually. But they're not using NextJS and Vercel's features to optimize the fonts. So instead of self-hosting the fonts without doing the hard work, because Vercel does it for you. What's the name again? It's not Switzer. They just bring it in from a different CDN is what I'm trying to find. And so their sans font is this, not the display font. That was a mistake they've done somewhere. In their layout, they have the different origin, different domain link to the CSS and for the font and the font itself. So that's bad. Like, especially if you're using NextJS and Vercel, which has a dedicated thing about font optimization, just do that thing. Why do this? No one will notice this. Like 1 out of 1,000 people is gonna notice this, and it's gonna hurt their performance. It's gonna hurt their core web vitals. It's actually gonna have, well, it won't put you in trouble. I guess if you identify this and you fix it, then you're the hero. So maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. But what we'll do, even though we're doing SvelteKit and not necessarily deploying to Vercel, even though we are deploying to Vercel, we'll be trying to self-host this font. With Vercel, I'm not going to open up the docs. If you're doing Next.js deployed to Vercel, it's easy to even self-host a font that doesn't appear on Google Fonts or anywhere else. I do have a vision to stop using Google Fonts in production, where I explain better why you shouldn't do this and bring in the fonts from any CDN. I assume that the fonts CDN is less creepy than Google Fonts because they seem like cool people. But high chance anyone is less creepy than Google for sure. But the way I saw how to do it with SvelteKit in this video is by using font source, and you just bring it in as if you would an npm package and import it. However, these fonts are not available here, so we have to do it the hard way. So let's see how that works. For most fonts that you find, especially if it's on Google Fonts, you will find them in font source, so you can see this video and first of all learn why I'm passionate about this and why it's like a quick win, and consultancies get tons of money to assess your website or a company's website and then say self-host your fonts. But sometimes you will want to use a font that's not available in font source. What do you do then? How do you self-host this? So from this website, we have like the Switzer font. We need to download it. It is closed source, but you can download it. There are some terms that you need to accept. And once we do have something. We do have something here. Do I actually already have it? Switzer? No? Let's see. Yeah, we have the Switzer font, which I will copy and paste in the public directory just to talk about it. First, talk about it. This is a monorepo. The web app is a SvelteKit app, and it has a static directory where you can put tons of things. Also, an Open Graph image in Radiant, in the TailwindUI's Radiant. Why not? So let's see the result of this download. Switzer has the license, great. Has the OpenType font and TrueType font. You can use this on your OS, and then you can see how you can actually install, self-host this font. You could also have a look and see how big these files are. So they bring in like 5 files, and each one is like 20 kilobytes big. Or you have the variable font, which is like 40 kilobytes and something, which, you know, it's something. It's not free. But let's just bring the variable font here, all these versions, and cut. Let's create a folder for fonts, paste in here, and let's look at the README. They're gonna say you'll need the Switzer CSS and to import it, okay? But we may need to change it, and then we need to import the Switzer CSS in our style set. And then we'll be able to use all the font families. Great. And then we can control the accesses for the variable fonts. These, and I'm just loading the variable one, not the slanted italic one. Hello Vide, how are you doing today? Thank you for dropping by. So they've also provided a CSS file. Let's see what it does. They have the huge license here, and they have the font faces for every font that they've included. We'll only have the variable font and just this. So all of these we don't need. And we don't need the license, but we'll keep it to be nice, since it has a link to them, and we'll only be using this one. Cool. So these are the files that we have. I don't know what this file is about. True type of 2 is the one that will usually be used. I don't know what EOT is. Oh well. Font display swap non-broken is the default. This is what Radiant NextJS is doing too. We won't be bringing in the italic one. So this is the CSS that we want. We have our CSS here. Here. So maybe the Switzer CSS we can also copy, paste, and this should be relative to where our CSS lives. And I guess we've put it in fonts, so that should be fine. Let's see, will it actually work? And in our app CSS, let's import Switzer. Don't forget the semicolon. Cool. And then I think they said we can use it with Switzer variable. So in my app CSS, I do declare a font sans family, which can be Switzer variable. And then you see that we've succeeded. So without this, we fall back to nothing. With this, we use the Switzer variable font. And I thought that in the Tailwind config, we are spreading all sans options. But maybe system UI is not first there, so if I misspell this, it falls back to system UI. It falls back correctly anyway. Right. So we're good to go. Now we're using the variable font. Now people will convert like 100% of the time. Does it look better? Let me know. Be honest. Be honest. So we have this, we've put the fonts in there. I don't think the EOT font does anything. And we don't need all the other things here. And we may just say that we did something with the design. Use custom font for brand recognition. But again, like I think this is one of the things where it's like when you have like a TikTok of sommelier, someone who knows wine, and then they blind find the Italian versus the French wine, which is fair enough, but they do it through a straw, and I think that's like impossible. If you do it with a glass, okay, like I believe you. I believe that you may know enough about wine to be able to tell the difference. Even though I'm a bit sus about France versus Italian, it's not the same everywhere. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But then you put it through a straw. Surely the thing that you must know is the straw, the plastic. It's, I don't know. Anyway, why am I saying this? I'm saying that if you want a custom sans serif font, then think again. Maybe you want a nice serif font. Like if you're gonna zip those 40 kilobytes, then bring something different. Bring something nicer. I don't know. So this gray is very different as well. Like it's catching my eye. It is catching my eye. I may fix it later. Doesn't really matter. Let's move in to design the header then. But let's check actually. So there we go. I need to solve the dark mode problem, so these need to be dark. But we will. But you can see that we have managed indeed to change the font here too. So it looks exactly the same. So this is it, like the long way to self-host a font. Not that big a deal, even so. Cool. Next up, designing the header. We've slightly designed the header. Well, we're not following the design at all. But we have a header, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We have a navbar. The thing that really catches my eye is like these crosses. They have like this double border thing for the header, which doesn't make me think of Radiant, something Radiant. But I guess, you know, if your brand is all about the graph paper type of style, and, you know, maybe it would make sense. So, well, a gradient does make me think of Radiant. The graph paper style, the crosses here. Not really, these borders, not really, but they look cool. So I want to recreate them. I would think that they must have like a border and a before and after element. Maybe, I'm not sure. Do they go all the way even further from the gradient? I think they may, but it could be an optical illusion as well. You know, when your eyes look at a magic eye picture, then it fills in the blanks. You can see this grid that doesn't have a dot, and then you see a dot standing moving around regardless. So I'm not sure if it actually has borders there. Doesn't really matter. But from what I suspect is that they must literally have like a cross element or something for these. Like for every square, they must have 4 of these elements on every corner. We'll find out. And we'll recreate in this header. So we'll want this div. Let's just put a border there and see what happens. We do want a border that goes across the whole thing. So I guess like this must have a border. Ah, but then interesting. Everything's interesting with me. See, since this is like padding top and not margin top, then the border is in a different place than where I'd expect. Let's see, how are they doing it? So let's say Radiant, they have Do they have like a... Ah, no, this is part of the SVG. Let's look for logo. Navbar. Disclosure. What? Disclosure component. Not sure what that is. But then they have a plus grid thing and a plus grid row, plus grid item, many things. So let's look at the plus grid. It's just div. Is it really? Where is this used? Come on. Nowhere. So just a div, sure. Then they have a plus grid row that they add a few classes there. But this has a few things. All right, and these must be like the 4 corners. Sure. So this what is this? I would think that it's an item, but I guess it must not be an item. It must be something else. Like these 4 things have to be the crosses. Not sure. Maybe they don't have to be the crosses. Maybe it's this. It's line. This, and this. Yeah, it has to be this, after all. So that's what I'd expect, that instead of using borders, these lines are achieved by this. Yeah, maybe. Let's recreate. Create by copy pasting. Sometimes it's fine. So we have the navbar. Let's create a plus grid directory and a plus grid row svelte. And let's just have all of this. It looks so similar. Instead of class name, we just use class because that's what HTML does. And then use cn from our utilities, and then I'll just type this out. Type props. It's gonna be children. That's gonna be an HTML Svelte 5 snippet, and HTML props development. Is that a real thing? No. So where do we use development? It must be HTML attributes. Yeah, indeed. Copilot, common copilot fail. But also, this needs to be TypeScript. So can you help me now? No? Fine, I'll do it myself. Cool, so now we can destructure children and class name and the rest of the props. From props, runes, and use the class name here. Spread the rest props here because you never know. No, you're not supposed to use it like this. And then how you render children with Svelte 5, you do @render children like this, like so. All right. So what were we saying? What were we seeing? That navbar has a plus grid that's just a div, and then it has like the row. So for some reason, PT12. All right, so this is the disclosure, let's say. And let's not do these things for now. And do our plus grid row. Who knows what we'll put inside. But we also have the random plus grid thing. I guess it's a bit more obvious, even if it has a div that has nothing, maybe it's more obvious that these are supposed to be inside a div, I guess. All right, in any case, what do we have in the plus grid row? I have a mobile nav button. Desktop nav makes sense. Have one div with the animated logo. Hello, Mal, in the chat. Can we do SvelteKit with Supabase or a beginner series? Yeah, we'll definitely do Supabase again. I've been loving Drizzle lately as well. Drizzle with Turso SQLite, as well as with Pokerbase. So I've been doing more of those. But let me know. Like you saw your interest, other people saw their interest, and I always love showing things that people are interested about. So I'll definitely keep it in mind. Hit me with an app idea as well to use it with. We've done Supabase in the past, so in case you haven't seen those, have a look. I don't know how much things have changed since then. I know that they must be doing another release week now, launch week now. So they're always adding features, so it's always nice to see how they work with SvelteKit, how Supabase works with SvelteKit. I'm happy to revisit. Maybe this marketing side will be for a Supabase backed app, even though they're using Sanity as the CMS for their blog part. But I guess you're supposed to get pricing to sign up for a SaaS, and that's not going to be the blog. So that could be a Supabase thing. Anyway, we want to put stuff here, and for some reason, they want just a div. And this is relative again. I wonder why. Ah, because it has its children, that's going to be the two borders, the four lines, whatever those are. And then it has like a banner. Whoa. Whoa. I wonder if in this page it has a banner and in other items, in other places it doesn't. But then, like, plus grid item, we don't have this. We do have the animated logo type here. So let's put it in and see what happens. All right, so we were correct. The four random elements here, these are the graph paper style borders. Neat. They all look the same. I guess they have different top and bottom. Everything else is the same. Ah, not everything else. Anyway, looks cute. And now we want the grid item stuff. Let's see. I assume they must be doing the same thing. Or a similar thing. Wow, they have a separate one. It has an SVG. And then you give it different classes according to this. Huh. Okay, I guess we'll have to do it like this. X class and Y class. Sure. We never have to do anything, but we'll do it like this. So let's copy our plus grid row and create a plus grid item. Item. Let's do the icon first. So this thing is actually going to be an SVG. The class is going to be this. This is going to be the class names utility that we have. And then, like the Y class and the X class, we need to figure out, we need to derive according to the placement, I guess. And we give the placement with wow. So they split it on spaces, and it's something that's like top, bottom, right, and left. That's interesting. Why not call it x-axis? To begin with. So let's say it has a x-axis x placement, placement x, which is going to be top or bottom. And placement y, left or right. And then we can derive, we can take placement x, placement y, and then x class is going to be derived. Does it need to be derived? I guess this is not state. So we could just do this like this. And then Y placement, is this correct? Looks like it. All right, and rest props, why not spread them? Spread them. Why not? So we have it's not a development. It's SVT attributes. Right, so the Discord icon, what do I give it? SVT attributes, event target. Whoa. Whoa. Not willing to help this code, but I can do it myself. So Imal says, you're new to Svelte and SvelteKit, and you've chosen Svelte as your first framework. Amazing. Some advice on how to build web apps. You've checked out the content, but the live streams are quite long. Sorry, I know. I do have some shorter videos, but they don't get you through the whole stack. I do think the Paulina Pappers one is good because it does start from a more beginner standpoint. But at the same time, if something looks too complicated for you, that's my fault or my bad because I haven't been a beginner for a long time. It's always fine to not know something. And sometimes I'm just not aware that people don't know this because I've been taught this a long time ago. So I would say, even link in this description, the Paulina Pappers stream is a good one. But it is long, like even the first episode, 5 hours, I do understand. Have a look at the short videos because I do try to teach something new on everyone. And another one that you may have seen or not is this one. So this 20 minutes more reasonable than the live stream. We do teach quite a lot, including loading data on the backend, maybe having a CAS and working with an API. So maybe I should name this something different, because it's not just about ChatGPT 4, it's not just about SvelteKit. It's about how you can make an app with SvelteKit. So have a look at that one. If you haven't seen this, it's on my older channel, ChatGPT 4 with SvelteKit. I think it's good. And 20 minutes more reasonable than 5 hours just for the first episode. So hit that one and let me know. And also have a look at the Discord, suggest what you want to see next. And I do plan to restart another series where we start from a more simple website, like a marketing website, like the one we're doing today, and slowly increase the complexity. But again, it's that problem that slowly means that we take 5 hours and 10 hours. It's not going to be a 20-minute video. Every so often, I do try to recap the knowledge into shorter videos, but they take me quite a long time to edit because I'm not great at editing, and I like putting in like jokes and having a good rhythm. So I indulge myself with those. So again, find this one. It's a good one. That'd be my biggest thing. As advice, and always have fun with it. Try to build real things. Try to build a portfolio not for yourself, but for a client or for a friend as a gift. I think this will help keep you motivated and on target to actually deliver and finish something. And you'll get a huge payoff that you send this link to a friend and they see it and they're like, oh, this is awesome. And you built this. So that's also important. So don't just leave it to weekend projects that you see only, they are for your eyes only. Show it to some others. And that will give you the dopamine hit to keep going. Sometimes you have a good learning day, sometimes you have a bad one. So you do need the other people to see your progress and your work to be fueled to come back the next day and the next week and learn more. And no rush as well. Don't rush it. You learn at your own pace and you're you. Right, so what have we been trying to do here? We have the plus grid row, which I suspect, gonna be doing like these crosses. And we've changed the API a little bit. You are very, very welcome. Please keep the suggestions and the comments and the questions coming. We've changed the props a little bit because I think these make more sense. Let's try to use this plus grid icon. So the plus grid item, I suspect, is going to be using 4 of those. Great. So once again, let's be inspired by the plus grid row and create a plus grid item. But this time, it's going to be like this. Completely stolen. Take out the rendered children so we can slide it back in. Pro tip. And the plus grid icon is the one we've been making. And the class names is our helper library. And placement, we actually want placement X top, placement Y left. It's the wrong way, isn't it? Oh well. X, like X is left and right usually. It's Y-axis first, of course. I think X and Y first, but of course this was wrong. So X, Y, good. TypeScript helped us here. Unexpected TypeScript win. So left, top, right, and what was it? Already lost. Top, right, top. And why is it complaining? We'll find out. And then we'll copilot figure out left and bottom. Great. And you can do it, Copilot. Right, and bottom, great. So I guess these things don't have children. So these guys, wait a minute. They just like straight up typo here. I guess I see X and Y so much versus Y in X that I didn't read it. Oh well. They're also complaining because we're saying that we expect children, but we don't. We're not using children here. Not a real thing. So we don't need this. Great. So these are happy too. Great. And class not class name. And that's it for the grid item. So now the navbar immediately, not immediately, we'll have to think, see what the banner is. But they have this relative row, relative flex gap 6. So back to our navbar, relative flex gap 6. Instead of having this, well, they have this, but they also put it in a plus grid item. And let's see if this will just work. Bang! Like curry, we cannot miss. Cool. So something seems like has some more padding, and it's here. Plus grid item with plus PY3. There we go. Looks cool. And just by reusing an SVG here. Nice. No link tags in SvelteKit. The animated logo, which I've tried to recreate with Motion 1 versus Framer Motion, and it looks very similar. But the origin of my scaling animation is top left instead of center. So I spent some time before the stream trying to figure that out, but I couldn't. Oh well. I'm sure I will. This looks more pleasing, like the wave. But this is also kind of cute. It's like marbles hitting each other. Anyway, and they also work the same. Great. So then, this is the banner. This must be the banner. Radiant raises. So yeah, we'll do the banner later, but at the end we have the links, which is the important thing. So let's see how they do those. Right, so they either have the desktop nav component or the mobile nav button. So now it's a button that maybe includes these items that get staggered in. Who knows? But at some breakpoint where we think this fits, it's the links. It's the links. Sure. Right. It's a disclosure button, it says. An icon with 2 bars. Has a label of open main menu. Sure. And what about the desktop? Nav. Just a nav element that's hidden but gets a display flex position. And then has an array of links, hard-coded array of links here. Sure. Sure. Can you see the steam coming off my head? Thinking. Right, so it is gonna be a nav like this, I guess. But what? They are, here's the mobile nav. I see. So the plus grid is just a div, and inside it, of course, is the desktop navigation. Cool. So this thing is inside the... I guess Mike in the chat saying you are cooking well, Watson. Well, we are cooking too today. We've managed to build the hero section quite nicely, and we're making progress with the header as well. There you go. So I think we're cooking. I think we're cooking indeed. Cooking with gas. Great to see you as always, Mike. Cool. So unlike these guys that don't have dark mode, I will want the dark mode button to always appear. There is going to be enough space. Mike says, I should be in Svelte as a maintainer. Well, anyone can be in Svelte as a maintainer. You find an issue or raise one of your own, and then you make the PR to change it and fulfill it, and then you're in. I do think it's convenient and nice for me that I'm not a Svelte maintainer, because it means that I am coming in these things as an outsider, which I think makes it a bit easier for me to present it to other people that are not Svelte maintainers. I think if I knew Svelte well enough to be like a Svelte maintainer and be like, oh, this feature, like I made it, then it'd be harder to explain it. I don't know. But as I said, that's like convenient because it means I need to do less work. Open source is hard to do, and I admire all people that are maintainers. The streamer that people need. Cool. So, jokes aside, I do want to keep my little menu here. We will have the login, logout if we're not logged in as well, according to whether you do have a session. That doesn't exist in the TailwindUI's NextJS version. Sometimes for a market page, maybe for performance, they don't even check if you're logged in. You'll notice this in quite a few sites, that the marketing page doesn't know if you're logged in or not. You may press a button anyway, and then it figures out, oh, this person is logged in, and then you go to the correct page. But they save a little bit on the backend by not doing the database call to authenticate your cookies and see if you're logged in or not. I don't know if we'll do this. Like it's definitely premature optimization if we did. Svelte Magic UI, tested by Mike. Let's see. Dark mode, yes. Good, I'm in. They have Tailwind Svelte. Good. Oh, they have templates. Oh my god. They're doing Zonify Premium better. Or with better marketing, at least. They'll do a mobile app. Oh, that's gonna be a next live stream, like a SvelteKit app with desktop app with SvelteKit and Tori as well. Imal is asking another question. What is the future of SvelteKit? There are so many job opportunities for NextJS. Mike announced last week, I believe, that you got a job as a Svelte engineer. So you'll be doing front end with Svelte. and SvelteKit. So that's cool. Those jobs exist. There are definitely fewer jobs. React is everywhere. When companies consult me, I will ask them about this, that if they want to find more engineers easier, they may want to go with NextJS and React, regardless. But very often, you just want people that have had that React fatigue. You may want the better DevX, that I think SvelteKit has a bit better DevX for a couple of reasons over Next.js, for example. And then I'd advise them to go with SvelteKit because I believe it's a bit better. But if they're a huge company and they're like, we got our Series C funding and we need to hire 20 engineers, 50 engineers, 100 engineers, it will be easier to find React people than Svelte. But Mike, you've been looking into this, so maybe you have a better view on what is happening right now in the job market with this. But the other side of the coin, of course, is that even if there are more React jobs and Next.js jobs, there are also more React and Next.js developers, so the competition could be high. Right, so Magic UI, Svelte. This one with no favicon. Oh. Some cool components. I think I've seen this before. Yeah, definitely. I've shouted this out before. Anyway, we're getting close. With the header, so we've put these things in. I was saying that sometimes in marketing websites, they don't even check your session, but we do know whether you have a section or not. So in the header that they've used in different places, we get the page store, which may have a session. That's not how you do Svelte. Cool. So if you have a session, you see your link to your profile. If not, you see the login page. You can go through the flow. You see this regardless. Good. And just so that we did have this. So we were seeing that maybe they were doing the gaps slightly different in the desktop nav. And they are expecting something with hrefs and labels, which is fair enough. Should we call it core links? These three. Sure. Nothing here in the navbar, and we may put them somewhere else. So const core links, an array of these things, and then what do they do? They're not doing UL and LI, which I do like, to be honest. And because I like, I will do. And here we can have the core links. And I guess That's a thing that we may need to style as something fierce. But also, this would be like mobile only. So would my life be easier if I did keep it out? And then this is based on a breakpoint. Page is a store. Page is a store for sure. They're saying they're keeping this relative for some reason. So let's say this is desktop. Desktop only links. And they only do the LZ breakpoint, so I'm not so sure about that. And relative flex justify between in the grid row. Do we have this? Relative flex justify between. I see. With no gap? Guess not. And the gap between those is this. We'll figure it out. So I will try to recreate this. Looks fine. And we've made these be buttons, I guess. And let's see if it's like SM flex. Kinda works. Maybe MD the one to do. But we also have the banner, so let's do the same thing. And we've forgotten to do buttons for these. So let's do the same thing. Alright, so now they look consistent. There is like more space here, I guess. But we'll figure it out. So, and in real life, they still have like these stars, of course. Sure. The pluses. The thing with the buttons is that you do get like the nice highlighting, like the accessibility. Well, in this one, which is not which is like inside an SVG, you don't get it. It doesn't look nice. This looks nicer for accessibility. Yeah, so I'm not that thrilled with what they're doing. Oh, hey. So each link has these crazy classes that I guess we'll have to work with. Is spamming divs can affect SEO? Not really. Like, how many would you put? Accessibility is more important, and nesting like a few extra divs, it's not gonna matter if your other elements are semantic. more important for user experience and SEO. So, you know, like one extra div, like 8 extra bytes, like nothing that the browser cannot render. So Imal asks, to learn SvelteKit for the backend, what should you learn before jumping into SvelteKit? Should you learn Node and Express? You don't need to. A lot of the questions, like if you try to follow along with a course or like that video that I sent, you'll be doing backend work on that one. So have a look at that one and see how much it makes sense. Sometimes you will want to Google things and the answers you will find will be about Express. So having some familiarity with Express is fine, but I wouldn't go out of my way to figure that out. So SvelteKit is what now is trendy to call a meta framework. So it does front-end stuff and back-end stuff. You will be doing stuff on the back-end while you do SvelteKit, which is one of the reasons that I like to use SvelteKit and teach SvelteKit, because you will learn front-end stuff and vanilla HTML standards, but you'll also learn back-end stuff and doing fetch requests and that sort of thing. So I would suggest that one. Elysia is another backend tech, but then you'd need to learn about another packet manager called Bun. So I wouldn't recommend that one. I would go through the Fastify tutorials, for example, instead of Express. But again, a lot of the answers you'll find when you Google questions and you will have questions are going to be about Express. So going through the Express Quick Start may be fine for you. The one recommendation that I have is you do need Node installed in your machine, but don't go here, don't download, don't press this button. That's not the way to do it in any environment. You should either look into Volta.js, which is fresher, trendier, or NVM, which stands for Node Version Manager. You will at some point be working in multiple projects that have different versions of Node. If you download Node yourself, then you'll have to manage this and you'll get into all sorts of trouble. So I'd say to start, look into Volta and how you can run Node on your terminal using this or using NVM. So if you're in an environment that has NVM already, just use that one. It's still good. Those are some of the beginner things to learn. Starting points, I suppose. But yeah, try SvelteKit and you'll be learning backend things. I think it's a good gateway into learning backend things. And here, so if I don't say gap 2 here, what happens? Perfect. Perfect. Beautiful. And in our button thingy, did we add like a crazy background on hover? No worries. We always, almost always do backend on SvelteKit streams, but we won't be doing today, as it happens. Like this is a rare front-end only stream. We are doing like some stuff with metadata, but not really. All right, so these look fine for the ghost button. It becomes background accent, I guess. That's it. Sure. That makes sense. Looks nice. Looks accessible. I should do the same thing for this crazy SVG, to be honest, because it's also a link. So what if I use a button here too? can select it a bit better. It does have like the extra gap. That's the problem, I guess. We don't need these classes, do we? Don't think so. But can I do like m minus mx minus 4 minus mx4? Yeah. I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks okay. I think it looks fine. So Mike says, if we use the ban adapter in SvelteKit, does it mean we're running ban servers? I haven't seen the ban adapter for SvelteKit recently. And I wasn't too happy with it. In the end, it did build something that you could run with ban. So you could deploy to Fly.io and have that running on ban. But it depends on how you spin it up in the end. So the output here, you could use ban to run it. But I remember it transpiled it. Not sure. I haven't tried it in a while. Haven't tried it in a while. 2 months ago, they've done something. It looks like it's still a thing. So I would say yes. Not sure. I think the translation step, the build step that they do, compiles JavaScript, not TypeScript, which worries me a little bit. But you could start the server in Fly.io or similar with ban. Imal says, the problem is that some backend concepts like sessions seemed confusing when I first tried to learn SvelteKit. So you thought you needed to learn Node.js before diving into SvelteKit for the backend. Good news and bad news, sessions and authentication will always be a bit confusing, but you'll get better. It's not a node thing. Sessions and authentication, not a node thing. It's usually a backend thing, but not necessarily, because lots of libraries do stuff just on the client. So you can have a session, just a client-side session using local storage, even though they'll be using backend APIs to actually authenticate those sessions. Anyway, maybe I'm making this confusing already. Just trying to say that it's not like you will learn Node and then you will suddenly unlock sessions and authentication and those concepts. Unfortunately, it's not a Node thing. And even with Express, there you will find like a library that's going to be like JavaScript passport library that is doing your authentication for you. And then you will add it as middleware to your server, and then it will just work. And you won't necessarily know more about the authentication or sessions or anything like that. I think it's another case where you may need to learn more if you try to do it with SvelteKit, but it's not going to be easier or harder to do it in any other way. I do think doing client-side auth is a bit easier. So, for example, recently we did the live stream with Pokerbase, which does the backend stuff for you, and you can authenticate client-side, and that's a bit easier to understand. Lucia is a library that we're using with Turso and Drizzle, and I've gotten to grips with it. It's sensible enough, but still, we've done a few live streams to get into this, but you can see that it's not simple. It's not like you read this and you're like, now I get it. We have our users table, we have our sessions table, then we have providers to users for social auth to providers like GitHub, and we have verifications code to do magic link emails or password research and that sort of thing. It's a lot of stuff. And Son says that the banging your head against a wall over authentication is how you found this channel. Oh, that's great to know, I suppose. One of my biggest videos was the authentication with Firebase. And I've done, like with Supabase, I've done quite a few things here. So which one was it? Full stack SvelteKit auth. This took me like so long to make. And I had just moved to Barcelona. I had this lovely brick background wall. I'm happy I chose Firebase for this one, but I could have chosen Supabase as well. I'm happy I didn't choose Magic because they went through the Crypto Bro route. But hey. But yeah, this is what's this is like a 42-minute long video that must have taken me months to make. If I could make them faster, I would definitely be recapping all the Supabase live streams and the Lucia live streams into like one 40-minute video, but it would just take me too long. By the time I've edited, then people will have moved on to something else. Is my fear. As it was happening when we were going to SvelteKit stable, it's like every time I made a video, it was like, Ritz has a brilliant idea, like it changes everything. This is how we load data now. It was fun. It was fun. All right, so we are taking our time putting in the crosses here. All they want, like, will it just work if we just use last grid item for the core links? Let's find out. All right. Do we need relative flex? What do we need? So I wonder. We're getting some extra padding somewhere. Somehow, some way. Let's figure that out. Is it the nav? Oh, it's this. Ah, but it must be because of these guys, surely. Let's remove this guy. I guess not. So this div is a bit bigger. I guess it gets flexed. But we need this to also get stretched. But how? Did something. Somehow we've managed this to be as big as needed. And yet the crosses fly up. Because of this? Nope. I'm wondering what's the point. where what's the relative point for the crosses? Is it this? Is it the lead tags? So if this were just a div, this wasn't the real thing. Nope. It seems I hate padding. You've never seen a Sapper live streamer, so you never will. Sapper not a thing anymore. Maybe if they are AI generated. I have seen like some questions on threads that mention Sapper, which has to be because the cutoff for knowledge is from years ago, or else you wouldn't mention it. But yeah, padding. But I hate nothing. Much less CSS stuff. So I wouldn't say that's accurate. Although we're getting too long on this, so this could be something that I will need to fix later, or something that people can make fun of. It's like, I did manage to center the divs. That's something. That's a sign of a great engineer, as we all know. But I didn't quite manage. To align the crosses. We'll align them. Don't worry. One day it will happen. But yeah, I wonder why. Like classic Tony, I say, yeah, we'll figure it out, and then immediately. And we also have like this extra div. What does this div do again? Is it nothing? Could be. The background is not an SVG, it's a gradient. It's a gradient. And we've stacked it using CSS grid. So it's this guy. So you can see it has the stops. Goes from one color to another. And it looks nice. And it's why it keeps looking nice no matter what your resolution is. If it was an image, it wouldn't look the same. It would be weird. Right, so this will have to be good enough until I figure it out. I do like the accessibility support for all of this. Nice. Yeah, the left to right thing in Tailwind. Cool. So I'll say that this is done for now because we can't stay here all day. But then we'll need to do the Hamburger Menu too. And also on the other pages, I have like the old header. We'll need to change that. Not sure. So when you go mobile, then what happened to the theme toggle? Removed. High control view transitions. I'm using the keyboard to like command back and forth, left, right arrow, which is the same as doing this. Just do it with my keyboard. I'm not using my mind to do it. Cool. I don't know if this should have like, yeah, it should. I was wondering, should this, should the theme toggle also have the stars? I guess it has the same problem as the other ones, that it doesn't go up all the way. So I won't add it for now, but I will figure it out and add it eventually. And this thing, let's do MR2. Oh no, sorry. It's already inside this div. Oh well, looks kind of fine. Is having prettier scene kit ignore a good practice? Bad practice? No, you should commit your prettier RC for sure. Everyone should have the same thing. If you don't, then every time you touch a file, you will have prettier conflicts according to whatever your preference is. So no preferences allowed. You all standardize to one prettier RC. You know, I like the one I have. Mainly, put trailing commas and no semicolons are the ones that I really like. Bracket spacing, no bracket spacing, I also like. But you also need it for like to specify the plugins that you have. So definitely commit this to version control. Everyone should have the same in any project. These settings shift a lot of spaces in code review. You can set up this tab thing in GitHub diffs as well, how big the tab should be. I also find it annoying. I didn't used to have it, but I've been told in Teams that it's good for accessibility. And you know, if someone tells me this is more readable for me because I've set up my editor to do like this, I will be like, sure, why not? But yeah, I agree. But single quote doesn't matter. I come from a PHP background though, and there single or double quote matters. So I have that one. Trailing comma, definitely do this. No semicolons, definitely do this. Why use more characters when fewer do trick? And bracket spacing, again, kind of similar. But I don't really care. Just, you know, use the same thing across base, the code base. That's the thing I really care about. All right, so we've managed something, but the moment we reach a breakpoint, then we lose like most of our links. So we need to do the Hamburger menu. It's using pre-commit hooks. Some people like them, some hate them. I don't know. My opinion is you don't need them. Sometimes they could be broken and they could be running your format. And sometimes they take a bit of time. So you try to commit and then it takes like an extra 5 seconds, which annoys you. So it's one of those things where if I'm working in a company, if there's a code base setup that has pre-commit hooks, I will use them. I don't think I'd ever create a tool or have a repository that is using pre-commit hooks. That especially if they do LinkedIn and then they break you for committing because the LinkedIn doesn't pass. No. Just no. But I have worked in places like this. I don't like it. But also, it's like the sort of implementation detail things where you have the nuclear reactor and you ask about opinions and they tell you everything about the bike set. It's like, should be yellow, should be further away, should be bigger, whatever. And not anything on the real issue there. It's, you know, when engineers want to kind of take it easy and do a bit of busy work, then that's the things we discuss. I would say. Talking about implementation details can be very, very fun. Is it important to create a great product? I don't think so. Right, so I won't be figuring this out today, but I will figure out how to do the Hamburger menu. And once again, I do have a video on this, one of the fun ones. Johnny, I'm an engineer. And I still use this animation today. And this is like old Svelte. Young Johnny, but old Svelte. Let's see how we'll do. What these guys are doing, the Tailwind guys, is they have no animation. You just click and immediately it shows. And maybe they're going to be like, well, for accessibility, it's better. But then they have the staggered animations here where they show up slowly. So I'm like, not sure. I do like the highlight for this. I never get old, says Mike. Oh, thank you so much. Only my jokes. Right, so problem, we don't have the links. People can't go to the buy now page because it's hidden on mobile breakpoints. Solution, we do a hamburger menu. How have they done it? They have like the nav button. What does it do? Just a button. Great. And then they have the mobile nav, which is doing some framer motion stuff to show things. I would have expected that they would be doing the stagger here. Oh well, doesn't really matter. You haven't seen me use snippets. I've used the snippets for sure. So my side nav has snippets. For example, if I go to the profile page, so the side nav that I have that already has this is uses snippets for this, for example, for these little labels. Let's have a look. I'm defining the labeled break snippet, which is this thing that has the gray line and then uppercase letters of the category or group, and then finishes off the line. So there you go, snippets. Almost always I prefer separate components, but for something like this, I'm like, let's do a snippet. Let's do something new. Do something fun. Right, so this is the side nav that I have in the Chrono app and almost every other app lately where I have SAT-CN, and I like it. It looks nice. No pricing page, of course. We haven't created it. But I guess we'll try to recreate the other one. Your current app is full of layout shifts, Son says. Oh no, layout shift is the enemy for sure. So are you saying that this is what you want? This? Because this shouldn't be causing a layout shift. But what this is the sheet. Like my accent makes what I'm saying here quite dangerous. And it works decently enough. There are a few things that need some ironing out when it comes to view transitions, but you can define whether it comes from top or bottom. This. And they also have the drawer as well. Blank. And all of them are like overlaid into your thing. So your existing content is fine. But yeah, what they're doing here with like just shifting, like layout shifting the whole app down when you click the button, I'm not sure, but they have a design team. So they've designed this to be like this. There must be a reason that they didn't mention in the blog post, but it must exist. I guess one of the reasons is that the user presses this and expects more things to come, so they're not annoyed, I suppose. Not sure. Not sure what they were thinking with this. But it also makes the gradient like take more space immediately, which I guess is fun. I just like the gradient. Anyway, pressing the button somehow causes this div to be created. And this thing is a disclosure button. Who knows what this does? But somehow... so all these disclosure things must be something. That disclosure button affects whether the disclosure panel is visible or not, I guess. That's what it's doing. We could be doing the nice sheet that SATCN one that we have, Shadokan one. But I guess we'll try to do something else for funsies. Right, so let's go back. Homepage. We want the hamburger menu, and we want it next to, let's close everything. So in the nav bar, next to the theme toggle icon, we want another button. And we wanted to have the animated hamburger, this guy. And I also have an attribute for open, which I imagine should be bindable actually. Maybe. You can do it, Johnny. Which is an SVG. You can see the video how this SVG gets made. It's quite clever, I may say so myself, and I can because I didn't make it. I just found it on the internet and read the docs and then used it and explained it in the video. So I'm not talking about myself, and slightly modified it for Svelte, I guess. So this is what we want to use. It's just an SVG, so I will put it here. Animated hamburger. See what happens. It's there, it's perfect. You click it and seemingly it does nothing. But if you give it an open state, then it will be opened, I suppose. But we wanted to switch between states. On click, so instead of toggling the theme, we want to do something else, and I guess this is going to be the component that it's going to be holding this. So let's say let is side nav open, is mobile nav open, not side nav anymore. It's going to be state like this, and then we'll bind this here. So we don't want to bind this. This just get told. It doesn't do anything. So I put this back. Just defaults to this. And maybe it's optional. So we don't bind this. We say that this is like this. But when we click the button, this mobile nav open toggles to its other state. So when we click this now, it does change. Does do this amazing hamburger menu animation. I love it. Can Svelte mimic portal in React? SATCN uses portals all over the place. So yeah, portals are just finding an ID somewhere and then putting stuff in it. And we use it for toasters, for example, here. So like, you may not call it portal, but it's the same thing. So you can look at here. If you wish, kind of a portal thing. Anyway. Clicking this makes it dance, which is nice, always nice. What we want to do is expand our mobile nav options, which I guess go out of the row. I can only imagine. yeah, so underneath the plus grid, they have the mobile nav, and they put it inside this disclosure panel, sure. And then they're doing these things, which are also the little borders. Interesting. Let's do this first. So we have the nav bar. We have a way to understand whether it's open or not. We only want to show this on a specific breakpoint, so to begin with, but the moment we get here, we don't want it anymore. So maybe in LG it becomes hidden. Gone. Great. Awesome. And I guess here is the mobile nav section. Inside div, you can put this other div. And these are the core links. And these are just the regular divs. And we'll do the motion stuff like some other point. And links are just hrefs. All right, so this looks intense. So I must have missed something. Map is not a thing. This is not React. This is not React. This is not how you iterate through a loop in SvelteKit. All right, so we click this, it appears. Awesome. We click this again and it disappears. Amazing, I guess. What else do we need? So yeah, all of this thing can be hidden as a double check. And then what? These elements will not exist because of this if. So is there like a Svelte transition we can do? It's hard to do like Stagger transitions with Svelte, unfortunately. But they don't seem to be doing anything. So like styling wise, they look like maybe we can just use these variants, these buttons. And maybe that's it. Oh, nice. And does it look better? Does it look worse? So we are somehow missing losing this. The bottom suddenly. While here we gain this. What happens to this? Not sure. Unclear. Yes, it does become too big. We will find it. We may not need divs for its button. But then I guess they become huge. Yeah, unless we keep them like inline flags. Lock. Inline. Maybe it's fine. Maybe on mobile it looks fine. Not sure. We'll figure it out. They also all divs are inside this thing. So we have added, great. Beside, they have these two lines, I can only imagine. Oh, not what I expected. Maybe they are. Don't forget to close this properly, this because we're not doing CSX. Alright, so this adds this one. But for some reason, we're losing the top one, which should stay in place. I wonder why. We're after the grid row, right? So this is correctly adding these two lines at the end, but we're losing these lines for some reason. Why? No way this row is getting any bigger. And it has position absolute, so it's children. Yeah, so where is this going? Unclear. It says minus Z10, so I wonder minus Z10. I think that's going to be another thing that I'll have to figure out later. Anyway, we click this, these things appear, great. We want them to appear. Svelte does do a lot of things when things appear, but doing the stagger effect, like having them be one by one, it's something that I do think is a bit tricky. So how are we gonna play it? Not sure. It could be fine. Yeah, I think it would be fine. So let's pretend that we've done what I wanted to do for now, and we'll do the animation later. Maybe we can extract this into another component already. Like mobile map Svelte. And then has all of these things. What's this? And then doesn't need most of these things, doesn't need the core links, maybe gets given the links. So let's say that props links. It's an array of 8 refs and labels. Great. And then we can let links props like this. Perfect. Then we put the links here. And instead of all of this, let's say let's just open mobile nav links. Is this great? Looks great. And then let's see if we can stagger animations. So we've mentioned motion 1 a few times. We've mentioned it last time we were doing animations with Lottie, with After Effects. This is a more web native way to do it, even though Lottie eventually can render into SVGs. So it can be super performant actually. The SVGs can be big, but how it does animations will be performant. Anyway, the Radiant template is making heavy use of Framer Motion, which is a React library, but the Framer Motion people also do Motion 1, which is a framework agnostic library. That's slightly less maintained, but still really good. I have used it to recreate this like bounce effect on the logo here. It's like quite neat. So when I hover here, you should see. Unfortunately, my mouse thingy is eating the event. Oh well. So I've recreated this event, kinda. But we're gonna use it for its stagger. The other thing that I like is the in-view helper that they have. You can, it uses the intersection observer behind the scenes, which you can use yourself actually. And I've been using more and more because it's more important. But this can give you like an easier wrapper on this. You'd use this when someone scrolls over to an element a section to your page, and then you want the stats to start ramping up or some elements to fly in, for example. Although they do have another helper for animations specific to the scroll position, like this line. Anyway, the one we'll use here is the Stagger utility. I think this will help us with the delay here. Let's see. Son says, I did find out intersection observer can be an explicit thing for the first time this week, and not just spaghetti code by a Claude. Yeah, it's real. I did have ChatGPT, I think, or GitHub Copilot interaction, which was with Godot and GDScript, where I was asking, how do I do this? Trying to code a shader or something. And it kept suggesting attributes that didn't exist. And eventually it suggested something that I didn't need to look up to know that it doesn't exist. It was something like Schwingle. Like, no. But no, intersection observer, real thing. Real thing. And what I'm thinking here is in my mobile app. Did I add a timestamp? No. Right. So Motion 1, it's a library called Motion you can find on NPM. And you can see that for the animated logotype, for example, I've recreated what they're doing by getting references to the path groups of the SVG logo that Radiant has. And then each one of the three groups, like the central sphere and then the next array of planets and then the next array of planets, I animate, which is a method from the motion library, and say that I want you to increase the scale and then decrease back to the normal scale, and do the same with the opacity. But here, instead of doing using the Stagger helper, I kept manually adding the delay, like 15 seconds to each delay, which I guess is what we could be doing here as well. But we'll see. We'll see. So here they say animate every list item here and stagger them by this many, by this much, which is fair enough. Looks simple enough. However, in SvelteKit, how would we do this? Everything has to be an SVG for these methods to work, right? Wrong. It can be any element, and you can pass any elements here, which is the cool thing with Motion 1. So these happen to be SVGs, but now it will just work with divs, with buttons, with anything. Maybe. And in the React library, so let's have a look here. In the React library, they export like specific components like motion div, motion list, motion everything. So motion.anyElement exists, and you use them explicitly. But in our case, we just need anything that can be gotten by a query selector. So in the animated logo case, even though we're getting the group by binding, by doing the Svelte trick of binding this to this element, we could also be using query selector like some ID, and then we'll catch it, which may be what we'll have to do here. So let's see. Right, so in the mobile nav, these buttons, let's see, will it just work? Do I have a fade in animation actually? Maybe not. Let's call this mobile nav link. I think Svelte will not try to do something clever, and we'll just let this be. Because I'm not using it in a style tag, it will not try to do anything here. But even if I use it in a style tag, it would just leave it. But this means that I can animate it. So let's bring in animate from motion 1. And stagger from motion. And then animate the opacity, which will do nothing, I suppose. This found no elements. So mobile nav link, find this class, dot for class. They pass this on the query selector for you. And then things break. No valid element provided. This tries to be server-side rendered. So let's put this inside an effect. The moment this mounts the DOM, then we want to animate it. Beautiful. Right, but we want to animate it from 0. So how do we do that? Do we do from? Is there from? So it animates from the current style to whatever we give it. And I guess I can just pass in 0, 1, right? All right. We're getting there. So each one staggered by 15 seconds. Oh, and it stays open as we play around with it. Yeah, 1500 milliseconds. Right, so translate. Is translate X real thing? Let's see the other way to do it. So the mobile nav link, if we start with opacity 0, I think so, we've never used it for some reason. Would this work is what I want to see. The answer is no. The answer is no. Because it gets used inside a component that's inside this, so it doesn't know. But if I said global, then it would work. Okay, kinda confusing. Svelte thinks this is not used, so it doesn't get zipped on the server because it's used inside the component. You pass the class there. That's one of the tricky things with Svelte, for sure. It always catches me out. I could wrap each one in a div, I guess. And then it also looks like they want it to look. Move on with my life. Maybe it's like, you know, a UL, and then you need the list item. So I'm not doing it as a hack. I meant to do it. So there you go. Now it's happy and it looks like the design. Good. What are these guys doing? We're not bent card. Mobile nav. So they animate the opacity. The opacity, sure. And then the rotation. And then they do the delay without stagger. Rotate X, of course, they rotate like this. That's a bit silly. Sure. I guess the problem with this could also be that if they have JavaScript disabled, then your initial style is that you can't see the link. So that's bad. You shouldn't do this. And therefore we will not. We will keep the list item. But we will not do it like this. We will do it with the keyframe way. So from 0 to 1. This never happened. and also the rotate X. So rotate X from 90 to 0. And we have the same effect. Maybe like X is this, like from this, comes like this. Who knows? All right, so, and every time we open it, same thing happens, because here, if this is falsy, this is not mounted to the DOM, this is not rendered at all. The moment it is, then it renders, mounts the DOM, and therefore this effect runs, this animate effect, which immediately puts it in the 0 stage, opacity 0, and rotate it like this, and then animates into the full opacity and no weird rotation, and it takes how long to complete? Is the default 0.3? Yeah, so we don't need to specify it. All right, so we made it work, and we have a cuter hamburger menu animation here. Big success. Cool. The height of this doesn't animate down. Maybe that was like too hard for him. Oh well, maybe something to do another time, that layout shift. But looks nice. I like it. All right, so hamburger menu achieved. What else? I think that may be it for today. We've made it to 3 hours. Maybe just quickly create like the links, which will make us put the header in the other pages as well. Figure out how they do that, because we have the login or profile page. This doesn't look great, to be honest. But no pricing page, that's broken. Login page looks like this, which is close to the design that they have. But here, I guess we want the same navigation, not this weird header. Let's make that happen. That looks nice. Right, so let's create a new section for this. So Son is saying to use the native Svelte native transition fly, and then on tick. There is something there, so I think Rich Harris himself has something on how you can do the transitions here on a Stagger, but it's an open issue from like 7 years ago. I didn't expect this, and you can't do it on tick. Like, I'm sure I've read it suggested in some points. It's definitely possible you can do Stagger animations with Svelte, but the point is that it doesn't feel like the current way is good. Like, you want it to be, you want to add Stagger, and then the amount of delay you want to stagger him. That's the dream. Summer, how are you? Okay, I need to just let my dog escape. She has escaped. Hopefully she just sleeps on the couch and doesn't eat the piano cover. Closed. Anyway, I'll need to read up on ways to do the Stagger animations again. However, I do think motion is quite cool. And it has a Stagger functionality, so why not use it? It's kind of like the intersection observer. I like using the native HTML, like the native JavaScript objects, the native solutions that browsers have, the standards. But on this one, where like the Svelte solution, which Svelte is a framework itself, isn't ideal on how to do it, then I'd rather use a library for it. Like if I have to know like ticks and trying to multiply that to figure out when that's something should start, I think that's too complicated. I think that's information that you don't particularly need to know. It's fine to hide it behind a library. Some fast thoughts on this. Cool. So dog has escaped. Let's actually get to this. So this Radiant UI, it does have like a rudimentary pricing page, company page, blog page, and login page, email and password. Sure. They are similar. So interestingly, every page has this little speck on the top, gradient speck, but not every page has the header. So this hero page does have the header inside this index page, the home page, does have the nav bar inside its hero component. It falls in the same place in other pages, but it's not inside the hero component, interestingly enough. They have this flash of paint. I guess our final thing is to scaffold these pages. And, oh, this is nice. And make the header work for all of them. Oh, we didn't do this banner either. Whoops. Which links to a blog post. Neat. Anyway, let's see. Right, so currently we click pricing, nothing. We don't have this route. How do you do routes in SvelteKit? Well, you reflect the directory, you reflect the URL that you want the user to visit in your source, routes, whatever. But now that I've seen that the homepage has a different layout, it does have a header, but it has the header inside the hero, so it doesn't have the header on top. And the login page has no header or footer. It feels like I need a layout that is adding nothing. And indeed, my root layout, as far it's doing a lot of things for transitions. For example, to set up view transitions, to set up some SEO stuff, meta descriptions, meta titles, all of those things. But all that it's doing on the UI side is just rendering the children and also the toaster element, the portal element, where the toast notifications arrive. So not much. For the root page, no layout for that, no more complicated layout for the home marketing page. For the login page, also, so login page, no other layout there. But I want a layout, I want a group of pages that does have a header and footer, exactly the same header and footer in the exact same place. And I don't want it to be under a subpath. I don't want it to be my page / app / whatever. And for that, SvelteKit has root groups. So if you put something within parentheses, then whatever you put inside the parentheses doesn't matter. It's just for you, like a name that is sensible to you. But it will not be reflected on the URL. You don't need to prefix anything with like marketing, whatever you've put in there. But any page that you've put in here will be will have that layout that you've added. So that's the thing that we want here. And therefore, this is the place when where we want to copy our pricing page to start with. So let's copy the terms and conditions page first. Let's call it pricing. Immediately we'll get something. And for metadata, let's see what they're doing in this in the NextJS site. So the title is SaaS pricing, and companies all over the world have closed millions of deals with Radiant. Sign up today and start selling smarter. So no jokes there, just you can use this copy actually. And like they have like a million sections and too much stuff. We won't be having any of this. All we'll have is the title, which by default is H2. So tag H1. And it's gonna be pricing. So we want to recreate like this one. Pricing that grows with your team size. Oh, doing the same thing. And they have a container. Interesting. Right, so we may need to recreate that. And no further classes here. Let's say to do add pricing page. Oof, maybe that needs to grow. Right, so I have a container set. They do add some padding on top here, interestingly enough. And it looks like it adds some default padding and then also adds some like center aligns everything. Interesting. And it does match what they're doing for the header here. Very interesting. The same gradient. And what's this? Oh, they're using it again. Huh. Anyway, doesn't really matter. That's something. Ah, it's here. Lead. So they have like a lead element. Who knows what this is doing? Should we create a lead element? Don't particularly want to. We'll make it later. So the important thing is to put the good header, the new header, the new nav in the layout. So we have this marketing layout group. Instead of the header, we want the nav. What did we call it? Nav bar. So we have this guy. But it cannot be contained. And is that the case with like this page? No, in here it can be contained. Interestingly enough. But in the pricing page, cannot be contained. So maybe we need to do something clever. So, see, guess in the hero section, inside the div we have everything. And this hero class we do use here to do the stack thing. It's P2. And then has further padding. And then has this. Should I copy all of this? And yes. And let's see how we can accommodate. So it feels like everything should have a P2. But specifically the nav bar should be inside this. So now it should look the same. But this is annoying. But we can fix it by saying that actually my header has a unique view transition name of header. So now it won't animate. The background will animate the gradient. Well, I think that's fun. I think that's cool. I could do this all day. I hope you like it. Cool. So all good. And specifically for the pricing page, let's copy whatever they're doing for like the initial margin. Do they do it for every page in the Word? Should we just put it here in the layout, marketing layout? I think we should. I think every other page will have this. So we should just keep it. Great. So we have all of this. So the question is, should this be flex and flex call maybe? And then you put this in yet another container and you have it grow. And that achieves nothing. So this needs to grow to begin with. Yeah, HTML is full width, body is full width. This thing, not full width. Still no. What else crazy thing do I do to the HTML body? That's all I'm doing. Wow. Yeah, I'm surprised. So if I add display flex here, did we break this? No. Double check. Good. So in the marketing layout, if I don't do this, it still works. No, sorry. See price. So don't do this, still works. Don't do grow, doesn't work. Good. So this needs to grow, and then this needs to grow, or else it won't work. Right. Just to put the footer at the bottom of the page. Even though when you actually have copy, it would be pushed to the bottom of the page anyway. So why did we do this? Not for a particular reason, really. Already in this page, but if we go here, looks nice. Okay. Good. Next up, company page. So the header component which we had, I think that's it for the header component. Gone. And I think also the side nav, mobile nav, which one am I using now? Yeah, so the side nav, I think we ain't using it anymore. So sorry, but we're gone. I like the side nav. Anyway, for the company page, this one should be quick. We copy and paste the pricing page and call it company. That's the path that we want the user to go in. Great. Company. Helping companies generate revenue. No thanks. Right, so in the company page, helping companies generate revenue. Add some copy here about our company. Great. And let's copy description too. Meta stuff. Good. The blog, I haven't set up Sanity CMS, so it would break if I try to do it locally. But they have what's happening at Radiant. So once again, copy company, paste it, rename it as blog. Then we want this to be what's happening at Radiant. And look for this too, because in this page we'll have the description. Surely. Stay informed. All right, good. And bonus, we have the profile page, which looks amazing. It actually works. Extra feature. And if we log out, for some reason, we have like a headerless, side navless page, which is fair enough. And server side, what's the description they have for login page? Sign into your account to continue. Cool. This reminded me that we have like the little gradient at the top. In the login page, but we forgot about it in the other ones. So how did I do that? Oh, have a gradient background. Great. And do you need overflow hidden? So they have this login page. Every other page, what do they do? Like where do they use the gradient background? On every one, they have a main and an overflow hidden. Can we do it in the layout then? So maybe this is a main. Let's look at it. So maybe this is a main. Has an overflow hidden and also has the gradient background. Nailed it. Right. So I missed. This should be the main one for some reason. I won't make it main now. But the overflow hidden, and this is the one that's got the gradient background. Nailed it. Did I nail it or did I mess it up? Does it also need to be relative? This just has overflow hidden. Huh. Yeah, top right is better. So this is the designed non-accident, what they want us to have. I believe, yeah. And how it looks now is something I messed up. So I need to fix it. I need to fix it. So let's just add a relative here for the lows. Does nothing. I wonder if I give this. Yeah. So is it the P2? Yeah, it's the P2 actually. Okay. Okay. So for that work, we need another div. No. What we've all been afraid. So wait a minute. Is it the flex? Oh, it is the flex. All right, so maybe it's not the overflow hidden. Maybe it's not the P2, actually. Maybe it's a flex. But what's the problem? So if it's flex, like, is it making itself be stress, grow, not grow? What do I need? So by default, display flex does something weird with the items. Flex. Is it like stretch? Oh, its attribute is stretch. I think it's this. So let's see. We do justify self. Stretch, same. End, same. Start, same. So this does nothing. All right, I think let's do not cause too much trouble. Just this solves it. The problem is that this becomes too short, but that's fine. Like in real life, we'd have more copy there. And instead of doing like these extra things, just keep them like this. Like side still works beautifully. You lose this here. Get this gradient. Beautiful. Do we need to give a transition name to the gradient? I think we may, because it also slides in. Okay, so that's something we actually need to do. Gradient. So let's do style. Class. Sean says the justify classes only work when the flex classes are in the same div. Most of the justify classes and stuff are for children, but self is when you are the child. So that one will work if the flex is one level up. And that one, I say without making it work before. But it's a trust me, bro, situation. Anyway, why am I doing this? Because I want view transition name gradient. What should we call this? Yeah, gradient backgrounds. Why not? So, I don't think it's that. Like the name is there, but what is it trying to animate? Unclear. It's not trying to cross dissolve it. It's trying to do something though. Can I do like view transition none for this? Can I? Must be something. Ah, non-view transition. Is that what we want? Let's see. Ah, just doesn't break out of the group. Just double check that it's not the name that I've given it. No. View transition duration. If it's already on the page, I want it to do nothing. I guess. Or else I do want it to slide in. Now that I think about it. Now that I think about it. So what am I doing here? Let's copy all of these. Who knew this would take us a while? This needs to be global. You can do it VS Code. I know you're fine. You can do it. And no extra smooth scrolling, that's fine. And this. Missed again. Oh. What did I miss so horribly? So actually this thing. It's been included in this level, okay. That may be one of the things that I do offline, sadly. I don't quite get it. So for most transitions, I am finding the body transition in this case to do the slide. Great. And now I'm finding the root again. Great. And I'm targeting this specific transition. Great. However, and if this works with the whole body, it's fine. The moment I give it a name to break it out of there, then I cannot target that mess in there. I don't think that the name is problematic. I think we can use dashes and stuff. Yeah, certainly that's correct. But yeah, not sure why this is not applied. Oh well. How did it look anyway without all of this? It looked alright. I guess my problem is if you happen to go like from the company page again to the pricing page, it kind of slides in and it doesn't look as nice. Who cares? It's fine. We'll fix it when we actually have copy. We have bigger problems anyway. But it's shaping up. So as we are wrapping up, let me know if you want me to keep going with this, keep extending this. There is also the Sanity CMS integration that we could do. We haven't done it in SvelteKit. I will fix the alignment of these crosses behind the scenes, so I won't be showing that one. I think the coolest thing remaining is the Sanity CMS integration, but maybe for your app idea, you don't really care about having a blog for your startup, or maybe you do. This is one of the reasons I did the Pocket-based one, because I do think for many use cases, you would be selling something to a client that includes a blog. So let me know if you want me to check out Sanity CMS. So thank you for dropping by and sticking around for the gradient and the animations. I love gradients and animations, so I'm glad you like them too. They have more animations that I could be showing as well, including like this pin animation, some subtle stuff as well. No things that appear, like no classic stats that appear when you scroll in the page, which is like a classic. So those don't appear. They have this carousel, which is interesting because I think they're using the snap functionality, which we have shown before, but they're doing some JavaScript magic as well to make some of the elements not, well, a bit opaque, less opaque, more transparent. So interesting. Cool one also works by clicking the buttons here, gets you there. It's a neat trick to show. Hit your targets today. But yeah, let me know if you find any of this interesting, you want to explore more. Another thing, scroll snap component overused in every app. Scroll snap was an awesome thing that dropped for sure. I liked it so much I did a video about it. It's like, it's just so satisfying. Like snapping the correct place, going back to the one when you haven't scrolled enough. Super satisfying. One of the other things I'm thinking for Friday would be a desktop app. So using Tori, get your SvelteKit app to be an installable desktop app. Sometimes that's a requirement. Sometimes people want to do this. You don't want to mess with React Native, rightly, because it's, why not learn Swift and Kotlin at that point? Why not pick Flutter? I don't know. Like, I have opinions, not the time. Like the almost over 3.5 hours in, not the time to talk about React Native. But if you're not going to do native iOS and Android development, why not check out Tori? I haven't checked it out enough, so maybe that's going to be a Friday live stream as well. Oh, someone has done it. I think I've heard about this. Great experience, even though it's very easy to mess up in Rust. Rust is tough for sure. Yeah, maybe we'll find out this Friday. It's a live stream that's gonna come at some point for sure, because I'd be interested about it. Cool. Let's just deploy just to give another chance for anyone in the chat to say anything. So Tori, the native features to mimic OS interface is really nice in Tori. I'd be looking to play around with that for sure. You can play around with whatever we deployed today anytime at radiantkit.vercel.app. Have a look. It's gonna deploy soon. I will need to crack dark mode as well offline. I think it's like a cool touch. Like, I guess most designers are like, no, I want a guided experience. I want them to see this section light mode, this section dark mode, and that's it. I don't care what the user wants. But I'll crack it regardless, because I think it's fun and something that you'd want for the app part of your website anyway. So why not do it? So let's see, is it deployed yet? Yes, done. Crack the stars, fast deployment. We are deploying to Vercel today. Cool, these needs to be aligned. We'll align them at some point. But that's gonna be enough for today. Another final demo. to add a timestamp here. So I will go over it like just quickly. Today we had a look at Tailwind's and TailwindUI's latest marketing website, latest template. It's a marketing website for a SaaS app that integrates with Sanity CMS for the blog. And we focused on the hero element here and the nav bar. We did do quite a few things. You can see that we didn't do the rest of the copy and all of the other elements there, but this looks decent. Like the buttons look kind of nice. We do have sign in with the Google, so we've over delivered there. But we have like some sample pages for the other links here. It is mobile responsive as well. The login flow does work, and we even have those components. But there's still lots of cool stuff remaining, including the CMS functionality. We didn't touch this at all. We haven't played with Sanity CMS in any stream, so that's interesting to do in the future. Let me know if that's something you want to see. With that, I will renew our appointments for Friday. It's been a pleasure to code along with you today. Thanks to everyone for watching, especially the people in the chat. As always, I hope you have a lovely, lovely rest of the week, and I'll catch you later. Bye.